In eastern Washington, deputies put steel cuffs on Rain Brown's wrists. In an instant, the happy rainbow of Alaskan bush people became the next prisoner. She was booked for burglary and malicious mischief along with her new husband, Josiah Lawton. Fans were shocked and asked, how did the religious daughter end up in jail? What secret storm took her from a safe place in the forest to a bright cell block? Stay tuned for the final decision, which looks like it won't be good. There is a storm coming. There were rumors going around in fan sites. Rain stopped. That's not likely to be true. That being said, the ticket sheet didn't move. Have a wonderful Christmas. Catherine Raindrop Brown, who goes by the name Rain Brown, was charged with theft in the first degree, malicious mischief in the first degree, and criminal trespass in the second degree. The youngest daughter of Discovery Channel's grittiest clan crossed a legal line that fans never thought she would between her 2025 Instagram wedding post and that April 11th paperwork. Few people outside of North Star Ranch knew how far away it is from good roads. The Washington property was Billy Brown's last dream before he died from a seizure. It was built after a wildfire destroyed the original house. He dreamed of a place where 7 kids could get better, raise their grandchildren, and protect the Alaskan bush. Every Brown has tried to follow that order over the years. Gabe put down apple trees. Noah set up a way to get water from the sun. Bear made paths for his kids. But Rain, who used to smile and split logs with joy as a teenager, became quiet off camera. She used to blur praise posts with psalm quotes in between pictures of her puppies. Rain's feed became less clear after Billy died and the show ended in 2022. On a picture from February 2024, it said, "When the sky breaks, it breaks you first." Fans were scared, but many just thought it was grief. No one saw burglary charges flashing on the screens in the hall coming up. What happened in that closed-up cabin on the lake near Tanasquit is still written in a secret document. Investigators say that someone broke into the house and caused more than $25,000 worth of damage. Supporters say the building was mostly empty when Rain went there to get papers that was owed to her. Some say the house belonged to her ex-manager, the same person she later charged with stealing $43,000. No matter what happened, her arrest shook the wilderness brand that Billy had worked so hard to build for decades. Discovery officials put out a short statement. "We are keeping an eye on things." Advertisements for repeat deals were put on hold. Tabloids smashed their computers and said it was the final word on the Bush innocence myth. While this was going on, Rain and Josiah sat in county holding with their heads down under flashing tubes that smelled like bleach and regret. The night before, 2 camps popped up online. One person pointed to her religious posts to say that Rain was not evil. Another person played clips of her challenging Billy's rules and said that long, suppressed disobedience had finally erupted. There was a third view in the middle. Like a cold night, grief, fame, and debt can make it hard to judge what's right and wrong. By April 14th morning, the couple was free on their own recognizance, but Rain's image had already been hurt, like a crack in river ice that never fully heals. On TikTok, sad versions of Rain's campfire songs came together with funny memes of a cartoon bear in jail. Within 24 hours, 10,000 people had signed a change.org petition asking that Discovery Finance pay for her defense, but the same number of people who hit unsubscribe said that the Browns had stayed too long after the rerun marathons ended in late 2022, leaving many fans disappointed. What came next would not be peaceful roots in the woods. Rain Brown's world was based on tree rings and river ice, long before there were court dockets and arrests. She got there on a cold November morning in 2002. The last spark in Billy and Amy Brown's 7 children. She didn't hear lullabies. Instead, she heard chainsaws cutting through building beams. Instead of cul-de-sacs in the suburbs, she crawled over mossy logs in the misty bays of southeast Alaska. Cams from Discovery found the Browns when it rained 11 times. producers were looking forward to a survival show. They found out about a family's tangled love story with the land. Alaskan bush people came out in May 2014, and Rain's toothy grin quickly became a way to talk about how innocent she was. With a Shakespearean flair, she spoke, and whenever there was a moment of silence, she said a quick prayer. People saw her as the show's beating heart, the sister who wouldn't swear even when they were cold. She used to make doll dresses out of old flannel scraps because she thought every extra thread earned a second chance to shine in the moonlight. But fame has an odd weight to it. Seasons are replaced by shooting dates. Privacy went away faster than water from a creek on a campfire. While his peers posted selfies from prom, Rain shared video of him pulling elk quarters through the sleet. After her Instagram post in 2018 that said, "Some days the mud feels ankle," deep in my soul, she said she didn't mind. Teenage stress arose when she said, requests for store-bought makeup. There were fights with trolls who said the family was lying, and rumors that Rain might run away to college. Billy thought that hardship built character, and Amy, who was fighting lung cancer, thought that faith beat despair. Rain tried to find her way between these two extremes. She watched Matt and Joshua fight with addiction and the paparazzi, watched Birdie think about surgery that might cost her motherhood, and saw producers push for more drama every season. As the show went on, it became harder to tell the difference between documentary and performance. When Billy died in February 2021, the show's direction changed. Ratings dropped and Discovery cut budgets. After season 14, in 2022, the show ended quietly. Rain, who was 19 at the time, had to face the real world without the camera crew that had also been her classmates. Many people thought her vague "goodbye forever" post under a picture of the snow-covered Browntown cabin meant she was moving to the city, but she actually went to live with her family in the Okanagan Highlands in Washington and helped rebuild North Star Ranch. Living off the grid is expensive, insurance barely covered the burned wood, and rerun royalties slowed down. Contracts that were worth $500,000 an episode disappeared overnight. By late 2023, Rain was working as a waitress at a rustic diner near Chilean. That's where she met head chef Josiah Lawton, who had tattoos, a quick wit, and a habit of blessing every plate before it left the pass. They became friends over hymns and hash browns, and within months they couldn't be apart. They carved their initials into ponderosa bark and promised each other that they would never trade simplicity for cynicism. Now those promises will be put to the test in open court, far from the quiet woods where their romance grew. Love in the shadows. When Rain changed from aprons to hiking boots at the end of her shift, Josiah would often wait outside with a thermos of berry tea. They'd drive dusty back roads until their cell phone signals went out, park, and sit on the back of a truck telling stories from their childhood. He talked about the coal country in Kentucky, and she talked about sled dogs that howled at the aurora. For a girl whose life had been on TV, the lack of microphones felt like pure oxygen. Josiah Lawton was 23 years old. He was an orphan in the restaurant world and had just been promoted to head chef after working 12 hours a day. He admired Rain's work ethic on the frontier, and she admired his patience with nervous tourists who wanted gluten-free elk chili. By Christmas 2023, they were dating. Her Instagram caption was full of nicknames like My Angel, My Healer, My Home, My Forever. Some fans swooned while others winced, thinking it was a whirlwind romance. But Rain's heart, which had been shaped only by work in the wilderness, decided it had waited long enough for softness. They got engaged on a foggy pier with a view of Lake Chalon. Josiah carved a ring box from fallen pine and put an opal he had found on vacation in Utah inside it. Rain said yes before he was even done asking. They didn't post any videos or stories, and fans didn't figure it out until the ring sparkled in a selfie in January. That same night, she typed "Goodbye forever" in response to a troll who said she'd sold out, but few understood that the phrase meant giving up one identity for another. 3 weeks later, they said their vows in a log chapel near Wenatchee. Before the ceremony, no camera crews, Discovery executives, or glossy tabloid exclusives were there. It was just them and the pastor, who spoke softly about forgiveness. However, someone at the ceremony leaked blurry photos to a gossip blog, and within hours the #RainBrown wedding became popular. Rain insisted, "Love doesn't need a sponsor, but love needs money, and North Star Ranch is still bleeding cash." Snowbird's vet bills for rescue animals went up, Matt's court fees from rehab went up, and land tax arrears were coming due. Rain and Josiah came up with a plan: turn an empty lakeside cabin into a faith-based retreat kitchen where Josiah could teach bush food and Rain could sell her handcrafted soaps. The lease negotiations took a long time, and paperwork disappeared into someone's messy desk. Rain kept a leather journal where she weighed every choice against her father's motto, "Live free or die," and her own fear of letting her fans down. A note from April 10th got out to TMZ and said, "If this cabin falls through, we'll plant vegetables in buckets. We're going to cook over alderwood. We'll sing more loudly. Hold on to your faith." Those lines now sound like birds being trapped in court documents. They drove to the cabin on April 11 with measuring tapes and cleaning materials. By the time it got dark, they were in jail, real life and romance coming head to head. What did you do that night, Wed, night of the arrest? The video from Deputy Carlos Herrera's body camera starts at 1942 with broken glass on a wooden floor. Cracks in the front window of the house could be seen between piles of spruce needles and a rain barrel that had been tipped over. Rain Brown stands by the fireplace with his hands raised and shaking. On his knees by an old buffet, Josiah takes pictures of the broken china knobs. A neighbor called 911 and said there were loud bangs and people arguing about money. "Ma'am, go outside," Herrera tells her. Rain does what it's told and looks briefly at a framed scene. Broken by a sharp hole, it's getting dark outside. Backup police lights make the trees look red and blue. Rain tries to explain that they are allowed to look at the house, that her old boss stopped checking emails. Herrera reads what Miranda wrote while Singh, another deputy, looks at the doorframe and sees prior marks. Rain reads the Bible out loud in the police car. "The Lord is my safe place." He looks ahead with his jaw clenched. Okanagan County Jail quickly books people in. A malt, tool, and a bottle of anointing oil were taken away along with digital fingerprints and mug shots. On the charge sheets, there are charges for first-degree theft, first-degree malicious mischief, and second-degree trespass for Rain alone. No need for bail. The judge believes in their ties to the area. Still, for 68 scary hours, locked steel doors slammed behind them. The news got around before dawn. A writer got a text from a dispatcher's cousin. TMZ put out the mug shots at 6 a.m. with the snarky titles, "Alaskan Bush People Meet County Bush League." Later, security video showed Rain walking around her cell barefoot while singing curry job songs while she cried quietly. Detectives took pictures of all the broken artifacts inside the house. There were tin types from the Civil War, mason jars from the Depression, and a single cuckoo clock that Rain swears had hanging upside down before she got there. $27 $480 worth of damage. Ellis McGowan, a former manager who claimed to be the owner, said he had lost a lot of money and feelings and accused Rain of trying to destroy proof of a contract. He sent a chain of emails about unpaid royalties and negotiations for the final decision from 2024. Insurance agents flew around like birds. At 14:03 on April 14, guards opened the door to Rain's cell. She thanked them, put on her old denim jacket, and walked out into the light of milky spring. There were reporters on the path. "Rain, did you do it?" someone yelled. She stopped, looked into the camera, and said, "Do not judge, lest you be judged." Then she got into Josiah's truck. The door shut with a hollow thud that some people thought sounded like the first note of a long, uncertain trial. Rain shared a cell with a school teacher who was caught for not paying parking tickets. The woman told reporters that Rain drew mountains on napkins for 2 nights and promised to mail the pictures when she got paid. Amy watched the video hearing from North Star Ranch with her hand on a picture of Billy. As the judge set the next meeting for late June and warned that any violations would mean they would not be free, she said, "Stay strong." Lies set off a firestorm. The internet thrives on disagreement, and Rain's arrest fed a flame that was already flickering around her fan base. Within days, the term #FinalJurorRain and show clips cut to look like they were hinting at something happened became popular. Lawyers for TikTok broke down Washington's burglary laws and said that life terms were possible. Not much context was given, but panic was common. Rain opened Instagram on April 19 and saw that the comment parts were split up like ice that had been broken. Others texted her hugs, while others called her the modern Jezebel. Matthew 7 was written on a white piece that she put up. "Do not judge, or you will be judged," she wrote below. "It hurts my heart that my rainbows believe lies from someone who stole $43,000 from me." That person was Ellis McGowan, who was once praised as the Browns' marketing genius for getting them brand deals. Rain said McGowan faked her signature on endorsements and stole royalties that were supposed to pay for repairs to the land. She said she talked to him about it. He got back at her by slandering her and then calling 911. McGowan's lawyers fought back, saying that Rain was being mean because of the exams. They shared an email in which she said, "Give back what you stole, or the mountain will speak." The newscasters laughed, but the police followed the money. Bank records seen by U.S. Weekly show that in 2024, $42,937 was moved from a Rain Brown LLC account to McGowan's consulting business. Write down ad spend. It's still not clear if spending took place. At the same time, Rain's brother Bam Bam hinted at even more corruption during a show. The Browns were asked to leave their land so that investors could buy it for less money. There were a lot of conspiracy ideas. Was the raid on the house a plan to make Rain look bad before a property battle? As rumors spread, Rain went to North Star Ranch and called for a media fast. Josiah put in motion detectors. Birdie said her prayers on the porch. Gabe made riffs in minor keys that moved across the hill. From afar, family togetherness looked like a storybook, but people close to the family said there was tension. Some siblings were afraid that more bad news would hurt future attempts to make documentaries. People say that Netflix looked around for a revival, but leaders have since stopped talking about it. Lawyers for the plaintiffs told Rain to settle quietly, pay back the money, sign a non-disclosure agreement, and leave. Pride fought back. She put in a counterclaim for slander and mental distress, and she asked McGowan to publicly apologize. The talks broke down. By May 1, the court included Rain Brown vs. Ellis McGowan, which was a case similar to the criminal case. Supporters didn't quiet down. They set up prayer groups, sold Rain Innocenta shirts, and got $5,000 to pay for their lawyers' fees. But every story said the same thing: not good. With every click, the pressure on the prosecutors to come to a clear decision grew, which could destroy whatever Rain was able to save on her rough hilltop. Talking in the courtroom, Rain wore a navy blazer that she stole from Amy to her preliminary hearing. Joseph stood next to her in a suit from a thrift store. He had a wooden cross tucked behind his collar. There were reporters and a few locals in the gallery looking for a small-town show. Judge Marisol Keating brought the meeting to a quick start with a sharp rap of the gavel. She looked serious and her glasses were cuffed down. Prosecutor D&E Mullins laid out the state's case: breaking in with a pry bar, breaking valuable items on purpose, wanting to get financial records that were lost, and the fact that the break-in happened at night made things worse. He said that a plea deal would be best. Say you are guilty of second-degree theft. Do it for 24 months. Pay what you owe. Defense counsel member Liana Ruiz said there was no crime, just a disagreement over a contract. Not trying to steal, just getting back what was given. Ruiz gave the judge a binder with spreadsheets of missing royalties and unclear contracts inside. The binder was labeled McGowan Fraud Evidence. Keating looked through the pages but warned that the things inside the binder were about civil issues and not reasons to break in. She did agree to hold meetings to present evidence, which Raines says may show that she wasn't as mean as she seemed. A summer trial window started from July 21st to July 25th for choosing the jury and from July 28th to August 2nd for opening statements. As the numbers were read out loud, Raines' face got tight. He gently squeezed her arm, Josiah. A lot of cameras were gathered outside the courtroom doors. Ruiz spoke to them briefly. We will show that our client did what she did to protect her job, not to break the law. A lot of hot takes from legal experts were on podcasts. Some said the jury would feel sorry for a reality TV underdog who is facing corporate betrayal. Others said that Washington's burglary rule doesn't require theft. It only needs intent to do any crime inside the building, even malicious mischief. In theory, someone could be locked up for life, but a first-time offender would generally get less than 5 years. Still, the headlines screamed life in prison, which made people crazy online. At the same time, rain clouds are gathering. June weather hit North Star Ranch hard, making getting ready harder. To cover the costs, siblings talked about selling another lot. Birdie said to use donations. Bear refused, afraid of more attention from the public. Amy called a family meeting and read out loud from Billy's notebook. The truth is going to come out of the woods. The word stopped everything in the room. Even so, there was unease in the silence. Late one night, Ruiz sent Rain an email with a chart that showed what could happen. A fine, probation, or jail time until 2030. On the side, she wrote worst case, 5 to 7 years. It's not good, but you can get through it if you behave well. Rain looked at the words not good. They looked like they were carved out of stone. She turned off her computer and prayed for morning. The Bible she was reading was open next to her like a raft. Free the bush baby outside was written on wooden signs that were waved during recess. Drone video of the small rally spread quickly on Twitter, starting new heated arguments about guilt, fame, and justice. With each click, the mountain rain would have to climb got higher, family in danger. The Brown family has been through blizzards, bear attacks, and the end of their TV show, but Rain's upcoming trial broke them apart the most. One night when there was no moon, Amy gathered her kids around the fire pit at the ranch, the same group where Billy used to talk about being strong. As each brother spoke, sparks flew up, and the weight of the words made the voices crack. Gabe revealed that he had taken out a loan on his truck to help pay for lawyers' fees. Bear admitted that he had sold the digital rights to his wildlife shots to get cash. Fearing that the media would take pictures of her scars from surgery kept Birdie up at night. Noah, who was always coming up with new ideas, made simple phone jammers to stop drones from flying above. Bam didn't press the shoot button on his camera and instead took pictures with his eyes because he wasn't sure if he would sell the pictures later or hide them deep. Matt called from California even though he wasn't talking to her. "Little sis, if judges can't see your heart, the world's broken," he stated. His voice had fuzz, but it was honest. He said he would speak out about Rain's character if they asked him to. The act broke down years of ice between brothers. Rain wiped her tears away with a hand that was shaking. He pulled her close, and Amy prayed to end the circle. For a short time, togetherness was stronger than fear. The outside world, on the other hand, only saw chances. Tabloids printed crazy stories. Drawings put together of Billy frowning from above a building in the clouds. A show said that the Browns faked the break-in to get attention. Discovery Channel denied having anything to do with it, but the stories stuck like burrs. Emails from brands that used to be interested in them were deleted. One energy bar company even asked for the return of 5,000 samples that were given away for free. Lawyers told people to keep quiet, but that leads to speculation because silence leaves a gap. Amy gave Carla Dean, a local radio host, permission to do one interview. Her voice was shaking, but it didn't change. "My daughter is not a thief. She has lived through a lot." The show went viral online. There were a lot of calls of support, but also threats. Someone said they would burn down North Star Ranch. The danger was found to be coming from out of state, but the damage was still there like smoke. The financial walls kept falling down. Because of past fire damage, insurance rates went through the roof. Rain's response is that the suit needed expert witnesses, and each one cost a lot of money. Bam Bam suggested that old videos be licensed to teaching sites. Noah advised that he sell a solar system he had made to clean water. Bear offered organized survival weekends, but insurance companies didn't want to take on the risk. It felt like every idea was like trying to fix holes in a ship that was sinking. But somewhere on the internet, a different story started to grow. Rain Brown is a folk hero. Short animated films showed her swinging an axe at greedy suits, putting the phrase "final verdict coming soon" on top of the sound of roaring campfires. People on the remote ranch were feeling better, but no one knew if these stories would change the minds of jurors. Birdie and Rain got down on their knees next to each other at dusk to start a new signal fire. Its smoke curled up into the sky. With a lot of worry on her mind, Rain leaned into Josiah and whispered, "No matter what comes, we don't lose each other." The family finally got it. Even if Rain wasn't guilty, her trial would test the heart of everything Billy Brown built. Cutting down trees and killing elk were no longer ways to stay alive. To stay alive, you had to stand tall when everything else broke. Guilty until proven not guilty. There was still frost on the North Star Ridge, but Rain Brown already felt like she was bare. Not by judges or lawyers, but by something much colder, the outside world. No longer did she check her phone very often. With each swipe, a new title came up. "Bush betrayed the baby. The final decision is coming." Rain Brown's life in the woods isn't so peaceful. The news hosts who used to praise her for being able to stay alive now make jokes about her mugshots. Online, her face was cut out of family pictures by people who used to be fans. Even school friends she hadn't seen in years made fun of her. Discovery Channel didn't make a case. Netflix wouldn't say anything. Her name was quietly taken out of marketing efforts by her sponsors. Rain realized she wasn't just locked up, she had been destroyed. What was even worse was that threats were being mentioned. A deputy who was familiar with the case said that new charges might still be brought if detectives find more property disputes that are linked to the alleged burglary. The police aren't done yet. You could still face civil suits or worse, Rain's lawyers told her. The Browns huddled close together behind the thick pine walls of North Star Ranch. Gabe quietly sharpened knives and Bam paced the porch at night. Josiah added extra locks to all of the cabin doors, and Rain's old manager's lawyers sent her a letter demanding a public apology or face $1 million defamation lawsuit. It wasn't just the court that became a threat. It was an invisible noose getting tighter every day. There was a war going on inside Rain that no one could see. One minute she was furious, sure that the truth would clear her name, and the next she was so ashamed that she could hardly breathe. Was this the day that Billy had warned them about, the day that the outside world crashed into their dream of being alone? In April, her lawyers set up a private meeting in the bunkhouse. Rain sat at the broken kitchen table with Josiah holding her hand below the surface. "We have to be honest with you," her lead lawyer said gently. "Even if you win the criminal case or are found not guilty, Rain, your reputation may never become the same." Those words hit harder than any headline. It wasn't about evidence anymore. It was about how people saw things, about the final verdict that millions had already given without waiting for judges or juries. After the meeting, Rain went outside by herself and thought about the promises she had made as a child while standing barefoot on frozen ground to live free, to live good, and to live without being seen by the loud noise of the outside world. But now the noise had reached her. The official verdict from the court hadn't come yet, but in real life it had already, and it wasn't good for Rain Brown. What do you think about her situation? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more exclusive news.